us out a great deal. And we show our appreciation by letting them come on camera and ask us any kind of questions that they want to ask us. Amber is giving the side eye as though our children are making noises that they're moving. So that tends to happen. As a little bit of a prelude, we don't swear, but our patrons are known to slip. So viewer discretion is advised. I swear all the goddamn time. Who am I kidding? This is a parental discretion is advised show, kids. You know what? This show is powered by alcohol, therefore swearing occurs. But yeah, so they're allowed to ask us any questions. We'll answer them and go on long tangents about them as well. And we're really looking forward to. This is how we do. I've already plugged Patreon. If you're watching live, you can hit the little super chat button on there, and you become a patron for the day. And just throw us $1, and we will answer your questions as well as those who are live or those who are on our Patreon Discord, which is another perk of being on the Patreon. We're good. We're good. I think I've talked enough. It's time to get the show on the road now. Who was in first? Brandon was in first. Yes. All right. So Brandon, you're new to the show too. You get first dibs on your question, sir.
Ooh, that's a fun thing. All right. So first question is, how do you see Autonomous going forward from the set? Do you think it's going to be a building point, or do you guys think it's going to be too set and we're not going to probably see it again?
I think the Autonomous is kind of keyword that gets invented when they look at it and say, you know what, I don't want to keep typing this for every bystander we make. So they just put the little symbol on there. It's like, good, art. It's now Art's problem. And I think going forward, we're going to see it a lot, but I'm also, like, in the first set that we've seen it in, we've also seen it metered. Ubu isn't autonomous. The ninjas aren't autonomous. Who else? There's a couple other bystanders that just aren't autonomous. Yeah. Whereas average fish, average birds, the gargoyles, those are the autonomous ones. These poison ivies, things like
harpies, stone harpies.
Yes, the stone harpies are nuts. They don't deserve to be as good as they are, and I love them for it. Especially if
I love them.
Yeah, there's a lot of really weird things you can do with them, and they confuse people when you start doing them. Like, I was giving them actions that don't do anything. People are like, why are you doing that? Well, I'm going to push them when I attack, and then I'm going to make 2 more, and I'm going to attack with those, and that's 4 attacks in a turn.
That's true. I get that. That's good. That's a good strategy to that.
Yeah. So going forward, I think they're gonna be frivolous with it at first, and then they're gonna use it sparingly because they're gonna realize maybe we should reduce the number of things that this works on.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think we're gonna see it in moderation and applied where it essentially needs to be applied, because it's one of those things, like Jason mentioned, where it has existed in the game for quite a while now. It's just usually a trait on the bystander itself saying whatever actions don't count towards your total. Like Little Dinosaur has it, but I think it's only move actions for those.
Yeah.
So, like, we've seen it before. It's something now, and especially now that we have a new combat symbol. Like, we haven't had a new combat symbol introduced since, I think, Sharpshooter was the last one.
Oh, well, Sharpshooter came at the same time as Duo came before Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter showed up, and then Indomitable showed up after.
So, if they're that far back, then I think Tiny was the last one.
Yeah, Tiny was probably the last one, because Tiny showed up at Chaos War.
Yeah, because that was one of the things when Tiny showed up. Like, there was a huge splattering of Tiny in Chaos War, and then we didn't see it for like the longest time. And I was like, what was the point of introducing this brand new combat symbol if you're not going to do anything with it? And then now we see like 1 or 2 Tiny figures per set, where it's just like, we're going to bombard you with things that have this symbol so that you understand what it is, and then we'll throw it in whenever we feel like it.
To Nathaniel, we don't talk about working together. Nobody.
That is a failure of communication that destroyed the game.
Forced so much poison into the game. But yeah, so I see Autonomous showing up. What I'm really looking forward to is the first character, like first full-blown non-bystander character that gets it. And I'm really excited to see people get caught off guard.
I think we might see that in Battle World, I feel. I feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah, I can see like generic Thors and generic things. Battle World has all kinds of worlds, so there's bound to be generic Thors. There's bound to be generic
there's zombies and Ultrons.
Zombies
too,
and Ultrons. Yeah, so
oh my god,
autonomous Ultrons. Hold on, we've been down this road before. We need to avoid this road.
Bring back the Ultrons.
Autonomous.
I don't even want to think about that because I feel like they could be used as taxis or so on. That would be terrifying.
Nathaniel's pointing out the next generation. I can see the Borg being autonomous.
Oh. Like the way you think, Nathaniel.
Well, he didn't say specifically Borg. I said Borg. He said security officers. I said Borg. Just want to point that out so that I get credit where credit is due. All right. Next in line will be Mike and Nathaniel. I saw your question. I swear we'll get to it.
Alrighty. So the first question off the top of that, of course, thanks for having me this week. I come prepared.
Thanks for being allowed to be here. That means you paid.
Alrighty. So this first question, right off the bat, actually determines whether or not what my build is going to look like for this coming Thursday. It's a casual 600-pointer, and I would like to know: do you think the Mary Jane from the Foes of Spider-Man set is a good driver? Should I allocate her to the buggy or something like that?
Do I tell the really offensive joke now?
Huh.
Always.
Would you trust a woman driving? Actual answer is forthcoming as I've got to look up Mary Jane again.
Why was Helen Keller best driver?
I was going to say that I got this. I pulled this from a joke I got from an X Factor comic where Strong Guy is talking to Doc Samson. And turns to Doc Samson and says, "Why was Helen Keller a bad driver?" And he's like, "Why? Because she was a woman." I was like, "Whoa." So yes, I'm peeling off of those terribly offensive "women are bad drivers" jokes while I look up HC ROMs, which I actually have open. I just realized. So no, I don't have it open in a decent enough window, and I just realized I don't have a keyboard here, so I'm supposed to look characters up.
Fair. that would be hard.
One of these days, I'm going to figure out the system so that we can look at figures very quickly and like have a laptop or something. We have a couple of those. I just don't know about the working functionality of all of them. As I buy time to.
Like JJ brought me my tablet today, and he was like, "How do you turn this on?" I was like, "Well, you press this button, but it's probably out of battery." "Oh, it's full battery. All right, have at it, bud."
Okay. And Mary Jane is driving the Spider-Mobile. You said the Spider Buggy. Yes. Okay. She's okay. She's got Perplex. Perplex is a good addition to the team.
So what? Like the vehicle can take either. Can take attack and damage and powers?
Or a power.
Or a power.
Yeah. Or an attack or damage power, but it has to lose its own powers to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, for one, she follows the rules of being able to drive. So
there's that.
She does have that going for her. If you're looking at Spider-Man Family as the thing, I'm wondering if Betty Brant does it. I got to check if the Spider Buggy actually has its own stats, because its own stats might be just worth it. Spider Buggy. It's because it's Spider-Mobile.
Where we look at our phones and be
okay. So Spider Buggy doesn't have any damage, but it does have incapacitate with 2 attacks with 10, or with 2 targets with 10 attacks. So I think she's a perfectly fine pilot. You can use her Perplex if you're not looking to incapacitate for a turn. Just it seems like a 75-point Perplex is a little iffy in my book. But then again, I mean that's what you're getting. If you just want to, it's a good protection for her too, because she'll go from 3 clicks to 7 clicks, 6 clicks, 7. Just stops on the last one and it blows up on the last one. So, and it's carrying 1 character. Yeah, go for it. I would do it. I mean, I wouldn't expect to charge with it unless you're planning to charge incapacitate, because charge with a 9 attack, 1 damage. But the big point of it too is Mary Jane won't die, even on a bad roll of the vehicle explosion. So she'll have that perplex on the board, and then you'll gain that the effect that the Spider-Mobile has, which is, I believe, like blows up and webs everybody, blows up in goo. When this
I really love the trait about not being able to hide from me. It also turns off stealth for other people.
Yeah, that's an important element too. Is it a Spider-Man family team though?
Yes, I was planning. Yes, I was planning on bringing in a Spider-Man family team like that, and all the trait. Can I here? I guess this is a secondary question, like for the Spider-Man family trait, since that has the Spider-Man family keyword, correct?
Yep.
All those guys with the Spider-Man family trait, can that call the Spider Buggy to it?
I'm trying to remember how that's worded, and by trying to remember, I mean I'm pulling up one of those chases right now to.
That's the Spider-Verse one.
Yeah,
right?
Call help from Spider-Verse. Once per turn for all characters with this trait, when Spider-Man Noir hits a character, after action is resolved, you may roll a d6 that can't be rerolled on 3 to 6. Place another friendly character in the Spider-Man family. Yeah, you can place that character.
No,
fine.
There doesn't seem to be restrictions on size or type, so.
Vroom vroom. Spider-Man Noir hits. Oh, he hit the turbo. Vroom vroom. Incoming Spider-Mobile. Oh.
Kind of wanted to see that happen now.
So yeah, Mary Jane's an okay pilot. She's not going to be the be-all, end-all of your team, but it is some protection and perplex. It gets the Spider-Mobile moving. Her using her perplex doesn't give you a non-benefit, like it doesn't screw your team over in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, for the most part, it's a pretty solid choice. In fact, if anything, it's adding to the effectiveness of the Spider-Mobile while getting it going. Like when you actually think it all the way through. All right. Next up. Nathaniel has a secondary question that jumped in there. How do you not punch me? She does. She hits me really, really hard a lot in the face.
He likes it.
With a sack of oranges.
It doesn't leave bruises.
Okay, where were we here? Okay, what is your thought on the new Star Trek: The Next Generation spinoff? Okay, bad Star Trek fan. I haven't even watched Discovery yet. So, as a bad Star Trek fan, I want to say I am looking forward to it. Patrick Stewart must be bored.
I guess he's got nothing else he's doing right now.
He's counting all his money, and you know what? I think he's lifting weights with his money. That's why he's so jacked these days. Like he's just going, millions of dollars. Oh yeah, it's so heavy. All these millions of dollars. Oh, make it so number one. Spot me, if you will, sir.
All of that sounded so strangely sexual.
I mean, he hangs out with Ian McKellen a lot.
Very well agreed.
I'm not gonna judge, but he hangs out with Ian McKellen a lot.
Fair. They're besties.
Besties. Besties. Look, I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying. Just calling how I see it without implication. Oh man,
it was implied.
I'm in a mood to offend for some reason. I'm the worst right now. I am the worst. All right, Brandon, get me off of this tangent.
All right, don't mind my video. Somehow my phone's acting up, so we're going to have to bear with me on this one.
No worries.
So, what is your expectation of Battle Worlds? Battle World. Oh my God, Battle Worlds. I can't even say it. Who do you hope to see in the new set?
Amber, do you want to go first on this one?
Thing is, there's so many.
Don't take mine.
And it's funny because a lot of them were like retreads of old stories. So you had like the Days of Future Past, you had the zombies, you have the Age of Ultron, but then you had like the cool, fun, weird ones where you had like A-Force, where there's a whole world of just female Avengers, and you had the Thor Corps, which I would love to just see a lot more of the Thor Corps.
Yeah, because we already got the Groot.
Because we have the Groot
again.
But then we can get all of the other ones.
And I think Angela was one of the Thors.
And I think one of the stories that I actually really enjoyed was their version of the Runaways. I think that was what they were playing off of, where they had like, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was like Doom's Academy. And it was all of like the young teenage superheroes being trained in a school, much like Xavier's, but more combat based and stuff. And Molly Hayes was like 8.
Huh.
And it, like, the story culminated with them in like their final test, and they were running through like a VR simulator, and then found out that the AI weren't AI, they were the other students, and they were killing off the other students, and they were seeing who was it was like survival of the fittest.
So it's like
as to whoever would kill. Yeah, it was like basically like battle royale in a school setting. Like, it was a really interesting story, and I really enjoyed it, and especially with like the teenage characters that they kind of had put in there, where you see Jubilee as a teenager again. Like I said, you see Molly Hayes as like an 8-year-old. They show a lot of the Runaways and the Young Avengers. There was also a cowboy world, which is just cool.
Yeah, then we get Marvel cowboys.
I think they are planning on making old-timey cowboy people. So,
one man is required to be in the set. It is Dr. Doom. He must be in.
Oh yes.
There will be riots.
I will be a one-man riot in the WizKids office. I will get an Uber to Jersey. And I will make my way there.
I dare you.
I will knock on the door and I'll be like, Battle World. There's no Doom in your Battle World set. I'm gonna fight you.
We got problems.
I'm gonna fight you. All of you. All of you, I'm gonna fight you. This will be like, I'm usually pretty positive and pretty reasonable about things. This will be my complaining point. If there is not a Dr. Doom dressed in white in this set, or upcoming around this set, or somewhere near this set. Like, when they announce a set and there isn't a Dr. Doom in it, they have to immediately announce a con exclusive Dr. Doom or something, because I'm about to walk on them.
Like,
all over them.
It's gonna be an ID card, just Victor Von Doom, just right there and then. Nothing else.
Yeah, and no character to call him in with.
That Secret Wars and Battle Worlds happened was because Doom went out and made himself a god. Like, you cannot have this set without Dr. Doom.
And here's my panic point. We had an entire Age of Ultron set with no Invisible Woman and no Wolverine.
True.
This is a crime.
If I don't see a good Invisible Woman, I'm going to lose it. I want some good barrier, and I want to see like mini little like pogs that you can set out as little force fields. That's what I want to see.
In addition to my super awesome Dr. Doom that I designed a figure for, and they're perfectly welcome to steal it from me if they want, I want to see my minion of Doom, Doctor Strange.
I am assuming, or I think, not assuming, but I think a good chase set for that would be the Barons.
Yes, the Barons. The Barons!
And for anybody that has no idea what that means, as part of the Battle World, that they had the multiverse basically. So with Secret World, basically the multiverse was collapsing. There were events where worlds were colliding. And then after all of that happened, Battle World was made, and basically the Earth is different continents and sections of all of these multiverses that got shoved together. And that's why you have all these weird, like, it's a giant world of what if. And Dr. Doom controls this world as Lord God Doom, and each realm section of the Battle World is controlled by the respective Baron or Baroness at Doom's behest. Because there's entire storylines about the Barons being switched and cycled between. There's actually an entire world that keeps getting reset, and it's like a Manhattan world that keeps getting reset because it's one of the Inhuman stories. And one way Black Bolt is the good guy and Medusa is the bad guy, and like she's the Baroness, and then when Black Bolt overthrows her, then they reset the whole world, and it was like now Black Bolt's in charge, and Medusa's the one trying to usurp him, and like they just keeps, and they're like, why does this one world keep like going through this cycle? Why can't you guys figure out how to make your world work?
That'd be. I would like also. Oh, sorry. You go.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we should have like a Terrigen Mist canister as an object or something, as like even as a fast forces. I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I'd be game for that. I'd be game for that.
Like even if it's like support, even like actually having as like a defense, like having it defend, but a +1 when equipped, stuff like that. I would expect like a nice little support out of it. That's what I'm hoping for, like a more of a support object rather than an attack, because we have too much attacks going on. We only have like
be equipped by
Asgardian shield,
X-Men, X Factor, X Generation X keyword.
Yeah. Would die. Or KO
all Blackbirds
with it, with the X-Men X Factor Generation X keyword. All right, we're back around to you, Michael.
Oh no, the mic.
Unmute your beautiful mic.
Alrighty, there we go. Sorry about that. Alrighty, so I'm sorry. We're gonna go back around to the first question I asked, and what qualities should a good pilot have? Like at what? All right, just start from scratch. Starting from the beginning. Like I don't want to use a vehicle and everything like that. What type of piece should I look for to designate the driver as?
Okay, I'm gonna just lay this out. And step one, it seems like it should be obvious. Step one seems like it should be obvious, and it's the most frequently screwed up one ever. Make sure they're a legal pilot. Most frequently broken rule. I've seen people try to use bystanders, giants, tiny figures. Like they can't be pilots anymore. Sorry.
And it's been a while since that rule was made.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, step one, make sure your pilot's legal. It seems obvious, but it's worth mentioning. Step two, make sure they don't make the vehicle worse. This one's a harder one to get around because one thing worth noting is some vehicles come with a 0 attack value, which means you're intended to use whoever the pilot is, and they also come with a 0 damage. Whatever you put in there immediately makes it better 9 times out of 10. And then, so with those two in mind, the third one is make sure they'll survive a bad vehicle explosion. Because you kind of want them back on the board to a certain degree, right? Like, so what happened is when a vehicle blows up, the pilot will take 1 or 2 damage depending on a dice roll. And as a result, it will depend on what they have after that 1 or 2 damage that defines whether or not they're worth being a pilot. So when I broke down Mary Jane and why she's a decent pilot for the spider buggy, is that if you don't use her stats, she won't make the vehicle worse because the vehicle can function without her stats. Her power is useful when you're not using the Spider-Mobile's power, or if you trigger her thing after, because it is a free action, you can choose when you do it, right? So if, for instance, you go incapacitate somebody, okay, I'm done my incapacitate, now it's time to use perplex. So I'm going to lose the incapacitate, but that's fine. The incapacitate's done what it's going to do. Time to start perplexing my team, right? So that, fundamentally, she doesn't ruin it. And then what's more is if somehow your Spider-Mobile gets destroyed, cool. Even if you roll the damage, or roll the die, and she takes 2 damage, she survives on her last click, and she still has perplex, which means she's still functional. So all of these kind of function or build into a pilot who is pretty decent. Now this is just the generic rule. Sometimes you're forced into a pilot. Overdrive is the only thing that can pilot charged up, right? The Blackbird can. I mean, if you're not using Cyclops. Can I have what you're drinking? He's basically a must-have because when it dies, he not only doesn't take any damage, but he comes out as a monster. And I don't want like I actually spent the one game I played against a Blackbird with my monster team. I actually took turns avoiding attacking the Cyclops because his stats were too stupid. His stats were so stupid that they weren't worth dealing with, and that's why like the Blackbird. So that's another thing is how good does the specific pilot make the vehicle? The Punisher's van, as an example, is a con exclusive purchasable one. There's a lot of really good Punishers, and it's obviously going to be good with the Punisher. So yeah, all those kinds of things. Now, if the vehicle comes with really good stats, the pilot could be a pile of mashed potatoes, and it's perfectly fine, right? But if it doesn't have stats, then you got to look at it and go, what stats are worth having? Amber, anything you want to add to that? No?
I think I've only ever played a vehicle once, and it was Cap's motorcycle.
Who's riding it?
Cap.
Was that that was that game, right? Game we should have had. So,
I got nothing.
Is that like enough information to go off of and work with? Because sometimes a pilot itself doesn't matter at all. Sometimes the vehicle's just good enough, and like I said, a plate of mashed potatoes will drive it perfectly fine because the vehicle's doing most of the work. Other times, you got to take some stats from the driver, and you got to look and go, it's going to be worth it to use. With the Blackbird, use Cyclops' stats, use Cyclops' range, use his powers because I don't think the Blackbird has any on either the attack or damage slot. It's just use Cyclops.
I'll check that. I have the card in front of me.
What's that?
I'll check that because I have the card right in front of me.
Sometimes you get the rare occasion where you have a vehicle like the tank where it doesn't matter if you pilot it or not, it's already done its damage.
Yeah, damage is done.
Yeah, it doesn't have any like attack. Only has in power as a damage. At like 55, and then you only gain perplex and such in the like at the top. And then just enhancement, outwit, and then straight to empower as you go down on the dial.
Yeah. So, like, you can time that perfectly fine to do your damage first, and then Cyclops takes over. If you talk about the Blackbird and stats, the powers it gets. Oh. All right. Onwards, Nathaniel threw a question there. Do you think that the Batman the Animated Series has helped bring Gotham City and Batman family keywords to the viability of, say, the Avengers? We're not at Avengers stupidity yet.
No, but I think we're at the level of like
competitive
and like monster and cosmic. We're getting there. Like there, oh gosh, I wish I had better info on this, but a state just got one with a Gotham City theme team.
Yep. Do you know who's Gotham City theme? Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Do you know who else is Gotham City theme team? A lot of Gotham
Batman.
City figures.
I mean, this team in particular had like, I think it was 2 Batman Beyonds and Commissioner Barbara Gordon and I think Old Man Bruce and stuff. Like it was all from this set, but like really good synergistic characters.
Sorry, one more time. Set. 2 Batman Beyonds?
I believe so.
Commissioner Barbara Gordon?
Yeah. And I think Old Man Bruce. I may be off on, it may only be 1 Batman Beyond, but.
All right. Anybody who's still screaming pay to win. Listen to that.
Yeah, that was one thing someone did mention. They're like, man, that's like a $50 team. Like
$50?
There was a Super Friends Green Lantern on the sideline.
Okay, I'm gonna do this now. Having now officially run an entire sideline of Trouble Alert. It is not timed very well. It never shows up when you need it, and you're already winning 9 times out of 10 when it's worth it.
They did mention that he had borrowed the figure and never bought it out.
Okay, but when you say that team is worth like $50,
yeah,
$50 in a Green Lantern. The rest of those figures are like a dime.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you Batman Beyonds if you want them. I've got too many as it is.
Which actually apparently is a rarity.
Having multiple Batman Beyonds?
Yeah.
So we're like
people were having a hard time pulling
Lord God Batman. Well, okay, But when Nathaniel says he's pulled as many as he's pulled Green Lanterns, he pulls chases like I pull commons. Also, okay, before we get any further off key, back to the Gotham City Underworld. Gotham City Underworld was already viable because there is some nonsense you can pull off with that Penguin. Oh boy. Okay, so this came up on the Critical Clix, and I saw it come up last year at Provincials. Catch this flavor. You have the Penguin. Okay, this is the super rare Penguin from Joker's Wild. And then you have the Fast Forces Penguin, same set, but this time Fast Forces, right? Now, what you can do is you make your Penguin, say, turn 1, turn 2 clear, all right? Let's say they're playing a 10-inning game. All right, we're going to go into turn 3 now with clear figures. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the 1,000 perplexes that Gotham City Underworld already has. I'm going to take the Penguin I just made and put them into movement and into attack. And I'm going to do some nonsense, you see. And damage even. Let's put them into damage. Because, again, nonsense can be pulled off with this. You take your Penguin figure, your super rare Penguin, give him a power action. What do you do with that power action? You move the Penguin token. Okay? Next, what am I going to do? I'm going to take another figure on my team, take a free action to take an attack on my Fast Forces Penguin. We've just been introduced with a new figure that we can get a bonus out of this. That's the Title Harley. The Title Harley will attack Fast Forces Penguin. She'll give that Penguin the +1 attack, +1 range, because why not? And now we've also, what we're going to do is we're going to do that with the super rare Penguin's attack value, which will trigger his trait, which says when he shares his attack value with another figure with the Batman enemy team ability, you can, I'm not even kidding, move a Penguin bystander token. So now we've taken this Penguin to bystander token. They all have 4 movement. We perplex his movement by 3. We've moved it 14 squares, and this figure hasn't taken an action yet. So now look at your Gotham City Underworlds, and how many perplexes did we just add, and how many leaderships did we just add to the set? And there's your answer on whether or not Gotham City Underworld is still viable. The answer is yes. Overwhelmingly yes. It is still super viable. And what's more is because you've got this whole functionality going on, the Harley Quinn's going to amount those plot tokens. And when she gets to 6 plot tokens, she's going to make between 3 and 6 of her gang of Harleys, who each have flurry.
Oh, that's scary.
Do her bystanders take actions?
Their actions do not count towards your action total. So if you happen to roll 6 and you have 12 attacks coming out, if when you critically miss with one of those, you don't care at this point because one of them is bound to critically hit. So yeah, Gotham City and Gotham City Underworld. Gotham City, I think, got a boost into notable pay attention to this keyword territory. Gotham Underworld was already strong. You guys just weren't paying attention.
I think PJ ended up taking that Penguin team to
No.
place.
He took something completely different to top 4. Something. This was even more impressive. He took the Clock King, top 4.
Oh, he had the Clock King one. Okay.
Clock King and like 3 big Tonys. It was a thing of beauty and wonder, and PJ's been on the this is not a pay to win game, and when he can take that to top 4.
Yeah. See, when you get the good players being like, no, guys, seriously.
Like, pay attention to the players who are playing the game. When people see a team that wins and say, oh, that team is expensive, I mean, sure it was, but don't forget there's a pilot behind that team, right? When you see consistent names show up in tournaments, when PJ is winning, and then PJ's winning again, and then PJ wins Canadian Nationals, and then PJ wins another tournament, and then he gets top 4 with a $50 team at best, $125 because he had 2 characters on a sideline. Like, the argument loses a lot of validity, in my opinion. I've been playing this game for 15 years, and I can tell you, right now, we don't have $100 Nightcrawlers. I'm okay with that. We do have $100 Wolverines, but that's because you have to play multiples of them. So that's a weird, like, HeroClix gets hit with this every so often, and you'll come across a figure, and it's like, I need 100 of this figure. Cool. It's a common? Awesome. It's a $5 common. Like the suited henchmen right now are sitting at like $5 to $10, depending on where you're buying. Because you need at least 6 to like manage your collection. And maybe even more depending on whether or not I understand the rules of this game because Amber was telling me apparently the max based on a generated character can actually be specific to each character who's creating it. I have to double check this to be sure. And then we're gonna have to talk to the Win about this to be absolutely sure because
this was how it worked before the last year's rule change. Was anytime an effect affected a generated bystander, it only counted for the character that generated it.
Now they have this max keyword,
which should be the same thing. So
was I playing Groot? Oh, no, but Groot specifically says that there's less than 5 or more. Like,
do we have our current pack?
It's up in my play kit.
I have mine. Do you guys want me to look at mine?
Because apparently Max is listed in the current.
Fair enough.
All right, give me 1 sec.
And unfortunately, the digital copies of the pack and the rulebook are not online yet.
All right. While he grabs a pack, you keep talking.
Well, but
so where was that on it that you saw that? Sorry.
I don't know. Someone had mentioned it. I'm assuming it would be on the back part of it where they're mentioning all the key phrases, like what giant reach and stuff like that. Someone had mentioned that there was a listing there for Max. It should just be like Max X.
So yeah, Max, there can't be more than X of this generated game element on the map at one time. Only counts those generated by the same character.
Okay, yeah. So so it's based on the actual character. So like if you have Two-Face making 6 suited henchmen, then Roland Daggett can make his 6 suited henchmen or whatever.
It is per character?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So that's why Groot is so very specifically worded.
Yes. So yeah, it is in the pack now.
Okay, cool. And it's listed as specific to that character.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. Suited
Yeah,
henchmen
it's
just
after Giant Reach.
Yeah, suited henchmen.
I'm actually really happy that is in the pack because there was what was I looking for? I was looking for obscure. I swear I will get them out. I filmed like 4 dial-it-ups last week when I had a chance and free of kids for like an afternoon. I filmed a whole bunch, so we're getting an episode on bystanders, we're getting one on obscuring terrain, and one on how to what constitute as using a power because of the Captain America principled one. But I did mention in my bystander episode how Max works now, and it is based on her character. But I was looking for, anyway, what I was trying to say, I was looking for obscuring terrain. And even though it lists like what it is on the map, like how it's listed as white in the pack, you need to go into the actual rule book for the description as to what obscuring terrain is.
Yeah.
And it's just the opposite of water.
Yeah, it's hindering for line of fire, but not for movement.
Yeah.
All right. That was Nathaniel, wasn't it?
Yes.
All right. So we're back around to Brandon.
This is how we tangent.
Yeah.
I'm just loving it. It's just funny to me. All right, so I'm just looking over out a few. I've been trying to come up with a good Gotham City theme for next Saturday, or no, this Saturday coming up at Comic Warehouse. What do you guys recommend for that? Because so far, all I've got set up properly is Chase Batman from Elseworlds, Robin, the common Robin from Batman animated series, Batgirl, like the Shadow of the Bat. And I've been playing through, like, want to either have Leslie Tompkins, Detective Harvey Bullock, Maxie Zeus, or having that new, like, the Penguin from the Fast Forces of Joker's Wild.
Well, one of the things worth noting about the event at Comic Warehouse this coming weekend, I'm a 50-50. I'm a 50-50.
I'm going.
I'm very likely going to be able to make it, but also equally...
Rematch, Amber. Rematch.
Yes.
Equally unlucky. Now, if Aiden wrote this down properly this time, because I know we had to talk to we had a conversation about it a little while ago.
Yes, no Giants. No Giants.
Well, not only that, but you're only bringing 200 points, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
I know the first time he mentioned at least at least 100 points from home.
Yeah, no.
Did
Aiden
he
messed that up.
Yeah, he updated
You're
that.
supposed to bring 200 points, and then you buy a pack, and then you can a minimum of your team has to be 100 points from the pack. Now, if you happen to have a 300-point pack, good on you. Have fun with that. But a minimum of 100 points has to come from your pack.
I actually talked with Aiden today, and he said that the packs that will be available, he said there are some Batman, there is Harley, and there's Avengers Defenders War. So...
Okay, I was originally to go with Avengers Defenders, and I was terrified, but I was so scared to go for it because I thought that was going to be sold out by the time I went back.
No, they have a plethora of that one.
They have a bunch of that one. It's the Batman that they don't have as much of.
That set sold like hotcakes.
Yeah. Now I was originally planning on bringing like Batman Beyond and Old Man Bruce for myself.
That's
to
why
make it up
40 points.
Yeah, I might have to put because originally. When I first looked at it, it said at least 100 points. So I was like, oh, Batman Beyond, I'm good. But yeah, Batman Beyond, Old Man Bruce, and whatever else. It doesn't really matter at this point.
It's a shame X-Men isn't one of the packs because I'd bring Cable.
Well, that's exactly what I said. I was talking to Aiden today, and I was like, oh, I'm torn between Batman Beyond and Cable. And he's like, oh, we have no X-Men. I'm like, well, that made that decision for me because I don't want to bring Avengers stuff.
Cable's still not bad.
No.
Right? And I don't know why we're sticking to common. I don't think we're sticking to commons because of budgets for other people, but, don't be afraid to bring big stuff.
Oh, yeah, no. I was thinking Eternity and using my Valkyrie, like Chase Valkyrie with her weapon.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, these are all viable options.
Make sure you put her on the top die.
You know what, Amber? It happened. It happened, and we can move past that. We don't hold grudges and judge for my poor eyesight judgment.
I'm guessing there's a story here that we will not expose.
I moved up. I'm playing on the wrong dial. On the right character, for God's sake. Thank you, Lord, for that. And she looks over and she goes, is there something up with your Valkyrie? And I actually had to double check to make sure everything was okay. I was like, yeah, it's fine. She goes, are you sure it's on the right dial? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And she goes, so you're playing on 30? I was like, no. I was like, you might want to fix that. I was like, shit. See, I swore. Look at that.
Valkyrie, I was like, she shouldn't have died to a quake. What just happened?
Yeah, poor judgment on that one.
Were you using the team?
Yeah, that was my only win.
Yes, I was the only win that got her something like 400 points or something.
I saw that strategy incidentally at the WKO. So the strategy is in use. A lot of people are trying it.
Mm-hmm. And it just happened to be that I came in with a super duper high damage attack. I was doing 6 because I started the game with my Hulk on the wrong dial, so I had perplexed based on the stats that were showing. Realized I had my Hulk on the wrong dial, and I was like, oh well, I guess he'll just have a 15 attack. But whatever, 15 attack, 6 damage, so good. Quake. Sidestep Quake again. Why is Valkyrie down? How did I just kill Beta Ray Bell and Valkyrie in one turn? What just happened? I'm pretty sure I gave him a heart attack. He's like, okay, I need a minute.
All right, Amber, stop ruining people's days.
You know what? It's and I apologize, but that was my only crowning achievement for that entire weekend. The only time anything went well for me.
Was that Canadian Nationals?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. It's literally you were talking about Congress. I was, this is the amount of attention I paid to what was going on at Canadian Nationals.
Oh, it sounded like dubstep that whole time until I heard, "Are you there?" I was like, "Oh, this is sketchy."
That tends to happen sometimes when somewhere someone is lagging. That will kind of you'll get the dubstep thing. All right. Monsieur Michael?
Alrighty, so a lot of my other questions here tonight have a lot to do with the new Batman set. I really, really like it, and really rekindled my love for the old animated series and everything like that. But and of course the Justice League Unlimited, that was, I really enjoyed the heck out of that series too. I still, cry every time when around Christmas time I'll play their Justice League Unlimited, where they all go home and they go on vacation like that, and they get Martian Manhunters, looking for the meaning of Christmas and all that stuff. Like, it just
I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. However, there are some pieces to this set that I'm disappointed, unless they're in it and I just haven't found one yet. Where is Summer Gleason?
Good question.
In the set?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have specified. Yeah. Where is Summer Gleason in the set? Like, we got a lot of reporter keywords and stuff like that. Maybe she could have been a couple of clicks deep or something like that for maybe 15, 20 points or something like that. But and another thing too is that where is another B-list villain, Lord Kronos? Remember the Justice League Unlimited episode, where it was like even a two-parter, where is my Kronos? I feel ripped off and disappointed.
I'm going to defend the Justice League Unlimited for a second in the set. There was only Superman, Wonder Woman, and Flash from Justice League and Green Lantern. So 4 of the characters, the Batmans were all representative of Batman the Animated Series. I don't think any of them were really representative of Batman Unlimited or Justice League Unlimited, unless the Rare is. But I might be wrong on that one. So it was really a small. I'm not gonna slap their wrists for missing some Justice League Unlimited when it was really just like, we're gonna throw some in, guys, and their entire chase set is the Super Friends. Like, I'm not gonna slap their hands for that.
I was quite disappointed with that as well.
Yeah,
I think we got more of Batman Beyond than we did of Justice League.
Yeah, which is fine. It's fine. I will, if we get to a Justice League Unlimited set, like it's on itself, which A, should happen.
Yes.
B, should include Lord Kronos. And C, should have a chase set of all child Justice League characters, and also should have a child demon, because that's the rule. That is my rule. But
like, there's a lot of characters from Justice League Unlimited and just the Justice League in general that I would love to have seen. I do believe the Hawkman-Hawkgirl duo was supposed to be Justice League Unlimited.
The guys that designed it based it on the series.
Okay.
But it wasn't, like, I've heard people complain about it too. It's like, well, what do you expect out of, like, you get a figure, a certain number of dial. Everybody's got to cool it with the accuracy to comic books these days, man. Everybody's got to cool their chests on that, because they're focusing on a game right now, guys. Yeah.
It's like we get so much more than we ever used to. Like, that's one of the things with us is the old guard, where we remember back in the day of, like, the REVs when there were no special powers, there were no traits. You got whatever that pack could offer you.
Off my lawn, kids.
So it's like, when you talk to those people and you're like, wow, this is a really cool trait to show what this character does, it's really hard for, like, to be like, oh yeah, this is really awesome, but also like, oh my god, this is not comic accurate.
They missed this particular detail, ladies and gentlemen. This is not exactly the, like, characters used to come out and it's like, well, that's going to be a hypersonic beat stick, that's going to be a long range, and whether or not to give it running shot will depend on whether or not it's good. That's going to be
like, they had to get really, really creative to try and do comic accuracy just using standard powers.
9 times out of 10, comic accuracy came from team abilities.
Yeah.
It was like, you got a team ability, guys, we're good. It's definitely comic accurate.
Or every so often, like, they did it with collateral damage, where they they experimented with, like, the REVs being different versions. Where, like, we got the red and the blue, and the Superman red and blue, and we got Triplicate Girl and Duo Damsel. Like, we got different versions of these characters. The Marvel set after that, then we also got, like, Jewel and then Jessica Jones. And
they had experimented with that at one point, where they had a Storm, Rookie Flu, Experience did not, Veteran Flu.
Yeah. Well, even,
I remember that, by the way. I was there for that.
Yeah. So every so often they used to try to do neat things. Nowadays we're spoiled, and when they miss a little detail, I get over it very quickly. Very quickly.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
And Pepper Farm remembers. Look, I'm so old I remember $100 Nightcrawlers.
Yeah. I don't remember what the question we were asked was.
How do you feel about missing characters? Lord Kronos
Oh,
and Summer
okay.
Gleason.
Yeah.
Summer Gleason is kind of a 50-50.
I do
like-
also feel they didn't do a lot of street level characters for the set. Like we got
Roland Daggett, I think, is the closest thing we got, and he was a Batman Beyond.
yeah, like we got like, and even then like Commissioner Gordon or like Commissioner Barbara Gordon and
Commissioner Barbara Gordon again, Batman Beyond.
yeah. So I mean, like I think the only real street level character from this show was like Renee Montoya.
Oh, the doctor, what's her name?
Oh, Leslie Tompkins.
Yeah, she was a doctor. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but there was an episode where Batman got blinded, and she was a doctor that helped develop the helmet so he could see. And she was also like, "You're blind." She was also the only doctor who knew who Batman was.
Yeah. So.
Because
yeah, it looks like they made concessions certain areas to be like, hey, we want to put all this really cool stuff in, but
they got the requirements. They got
Yeah.
the big stuff, and this they got Bane and they got Harley Quinn, who both were required to be in set because both those characters don't exist without this series.
Mhm.
So, boom diada. I feel like Man Bat was created by this series, but I might not read enough Batman comics on that one.
I feel like it's one of those ones where it's like, even though Harley was the one that debuted and made the jump from the animated to the comics, there were a lot of characters that were either like one panel or one issue or like just one-off characters that weren't necessarily even in the spotlight or cool until they got put in the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
And like the animated series made them what they are today and why we know what these characters are.
Okay, no, Man Bat showed up in 1970. I am incorrect. See, that's just how very few Batman comics I read.
Yeah. But also how prevalent that particular series is to people of our generation.
Yeah, I was introduced to a lot of I was introduced to the most badass villain version of Doctor or Mr. Freeze ever, which was the first time Mr. Freeze became a qualifier super villain was in this series, as far as I'm concerned. All prior times it was like a Vincent Price level of villain. Even though Vincent Price, I know, also played Egghead, so give me that.
Ooh, that's rough.
I recognize that. So they hit the big notes. They didn't miss much on the small side, and I will forgive missing things on the small side because I feel like there weren't enough slots in the set that needed filling. Mm-hmm. Right? It doesn't look like things got forced in. It looks like things got forced out of this set, right? Because what's the most common complaint I hear about the set? Where's our Justice League Unlimited Martian Manhunter? Count the Justice League Unlimited characters in the set, and that's where you'll find it.
Like, to be honest, when they had mentioned that there was going to be a Justice League Unlimited subset, I was really hoping to get teenage Supergirl in her, like, white t-shirt and miniskirt. Like, that we haven't actually had that version of Supergirl in the game yet.
I think the reaction to their inclusion in this set is enough for them to say, we should probably give them a full set. Mm-hmm. That's my guess. Nathaniel does confirm none of the Batmans are Justice League Unlimited. So even Batman in his own set didn't make it to the subset that he belongs in. But Nathaniel does want to know, what effect do we think locations will have on the metagame? If any of them are going to have a major effect, I personally believe the biggest effect is going to come from the Penguin one. Because I believe it's 5 points, and you can get, if you win map roll, you get 3 tokens. Doesn't matter. You get a bunch of seals.
I think you only get all of them if you play Penguin.
Right. Yes. Okay. Sure. You get 4 of them if you play Penguin. 4 seals. You get 4 seals if you play Penguin. By the way,
more than likely you're going to play Penguin.
I think they're going to be an interesting addition to the metagame. Also, it'll be interesting to see if they do anything beyond this set with locations. I know that the Ha 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 Hacienda has shown up. PJ's been playing it with both the Joker and the Harley bonus.
Yeah, Harley gives you Bud and Lou.
Yeah, and Joker allows you to attack
from a D6 spot.
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those things where it'll be interesting to gauge which ones will be more effective based on the constellation.
Yeah. Because
unless you're running like a high theme team where you're more likely to get map, it's that payoff of, do you want to pay that extra 5 points instead of like an ID card to put a bonus on a map that you may not guess? Is the constellation better than possibly having an ID card on your team, kind of thing? It's going to be one of those weighing how your team works, and it'll be very specific to how your team functions itself, and not necessarily if your team needs the locations, but how much better is your team if the location works.
Remember that Gotham City Underworld team I talked about?
Penguins.
That team is usually super big.
Yeah.
So it wins a lot of map rolls, and it plays the Penguin twice even. So you will get your 4 Penguin to your 4. You get your 4 seals. Jeez Louise, are seals busted. I think like they got super senses and 3 damage and something else. I think with plasticity.
Yeah, I think they're the plasticity ones.
Oh my god, they're seals. The seals are so strong. But like Amber said, depending on constellations and depending on how many more we get. Like for instance, one I know is just not going to see a lot of play is as a location ability is going to be the Batman one, the one that's like Batman and Robin get ignore hindering terrain when you win, or they get +1 defense. Like there's not enough Batmans and not enough Robins that gotta play this map. Ha Ha Hacienda, definite possibility. Penguin's Lounge, definite possibility.
And I see Poison Ivy's Garden being a good use of a map, even without the location bonuses, just because of that huge amount of hindering that you get out of that map. Just the placement of everything on that map is a good kind of choice just to have in your cycle of maps, even whether or not you pay to have the extra, I think it's an incapacitate that the hindering does.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable alternative to the Wakanda option. Because I think there's actually enough blocking in there to kind of increase.
Well, the blocking is on the corners where the rules are.
Well, then I forget it. There's not enough blocking to make it make sense.
It's mostly just giant hindering map. There's a little bit of elevated. I think a small amount of water.
Yeah.
Because there's like a bridge in the middle.
Of course, Nathaniel has his straw man, one true Scotsman argument as to why he thinks it's going to be competitive, or he played 18 to happen to do well once, and then he's going to say definitely going to be strong in the meta.
I didn't say it wasn't going to be strong.
No, I'm saying it's not. There's not a Batman or Robin that say, got to use this.
Oh yes, Gotham City Streets is not the one that I see being utilized.
Absolutely, you can come up with a team that uses it. Sure. I mean, the rare Batman is okay, but I don't see it being I need to be concerned about this because, I use Perplex and I get +1 attack. So, Perplex automatically, when you lose that map, you lose that thing. And then when you gain I gain the ability to see through hindering. I mean, is that enough against enough teams, right? So that's really I
think that bonus is he gains improved target or improved movement, hindering elevated blocking, outdoor blocking.
Oh, I thought it was improved hindering.
We have the maps up there.
I mean,
I'm just trying to remember. I'm just trying to remember. I did the editing and I did all of that by hand. So.
Okay. So +2 from the rooftops. All characters named Robin get a bet, and all characters named Batman gain ignore hindering terrain.
Okay.
They're two different ones you have to pay for.
Right. Okay. It's the Robin one where you get all the extra stuff.
Yeah. See, and here's this one True Scotsman team. 2 Batmans and an Alfred.
Well, then. Okay. Fine.
Is that a team that's super threatening in the meta? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It might have worked for you that day, but would it do well against, my nonstop monstrosity monster team? It's hard to say. All right, Brandon.
All right, so it just came to my mind
Brandon?
about.
I keep calling him Brandon. I'm just making a
It's Braden, but
Braden.
everyone gets it wrong all the time, so I'm so used to just answering it.
You're usually BA on the internet. And
I know. I love how you say my last name too. You're like McCooey. It's McCooey, but I get a kick out of it, so I never correct it.
But
I never correct it. It's so
because
funny.
the way it comes off when you say McCooey, first of all, it's
catchy.
reading. This happens. You get mispronunciations when you learn from reading. But I started thinking about it on my way here because he became a patron. And I was like, oh, it's McCooey, isn't it? I have to actually say his name out loud more frequently now because he's Braden. Okay, Braden, it's your turn.
All right, so now we learned how to say my name. I actually just thought about it. Do you think Poison Ivy's map is going to have a huge role on your monster team? Because if you were to play your Groot at 150, almost every move that you would have for a serious attack would start in hindering terrain, giving you a +1 to your health if you were to be damaged.
I played Groot at 20. So
No, I know. But I mean, if you were to readjust and edit and fix and nitpick, I feel like Groot will have a huge impact on that map if you were to go a Cosmic Groot. Or even just stick with your monster.
Maybe, possibly. You know what? Okay, I got to be honest. The monster team's about to get retired because of the new ID cards.
Unfortunately.
And the reason I say this is of when we got to the 42 players day 2 on Sunday, of my 1,200 points I scored that I didn't qualify with apparently, approximately 800 of those were ID card characters that got called in. So if I can't kill those, I can't score apparently.
Did I tell you that you were actually only 16 points under Jimmy?
No, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I want to yell at Drake for giving so many points to him. Because I was 300 points ahead of Jimmy going into the final round. And then I found out that he got ahead of me, and I said, how? And I know it's Drake's fault.
When in doubt, blame Drake.
Jimmy's Spartaclix, am I right?
Why I haven't been able to qualify anymore is because I'm no longer playing Drake in my first round. He used to be my gatekeeper. It used to be I had to lose to Drake to be able to get further.
No, but
I don't face Drake anymore. This is my problem.
You had to lose to Drake on a bad ruling.
I was only the first year.
No, you've had 2 times where there's been bad rulings where you guys came around and was like, yeah, we played that one wrong again.
Yeah, no, his Yondu team were like me, him, and Steven were all sitting there being like, dude, I don't even know how to do line of fire with Colossals anymore. I don't know. We're gonna say it this way. I was like, but that doesn't help me. That team was that we were ruling the Omega Drive wrong. That's what it was.
Yes.
So first year it was bad ruling on the book. Second time it was bad ruling on the Omega Drive. Both times it's like, okay, if I'm facing Drake first round, this is how we go. I haven't faced Drake since. This is my problem.
I got so angry at you when you turned around. It's like, my team doesn't work the way I think it does. Like, yes, it does. You do not. I get angry at the people playing it. I get angry at the judges when this happens. Because it happened with Aiden, too.
Yeah.
Aiden played the WKO. And then somebody tried to tell him that you couldn't do the 2 perplexes with the red leader. And I was like, no, you can. I've done the research. And then I immediately pulled up the win page. I was like, you show this to our judge.
Like, no, we made sure.
All right, just to follow up, is Jimmy Spartaclix?
Yes.
Okay, he's working with me on a Cosmic team that me and him came up with. So that's why I was like, as soon as I heard that name, I was like, familiar.
He keeps more. Okay, it's not even his given name, Jimmy.
No.
So Like when I refer to him as that, you're not even going to come close to finding him. And go in his anonymous Facebook profile, you're not going to find him through there. It's
like on Facebook, he's Sparta Clix. In person, we know him as Jimmy, but officially, all right.
We just keep his actual name off because apparently he's got a level of anonymity he's trying to protect.
So yes, we're trying to say it's like when they were saying the who qualified, they're like, "Do you know this player?" I was like, "Yeah, he just goes by a different name."
Yeah, call him this name. Okay. Oh, see, it worked. He got his attention. So, but the actual question was, I'd have to look at what 150 point group. I don't know what 150 point group does. I only know what 20. My basis of interest on a colossal figure is its 20 point, or it's 15, or it's 25, or it's small point dial. It's retaliation dial. If it doesn't have retaliation dial, I don't care.
Unless it's carded.
See, I can see that, but when you have something that can regenerate at the beginning of its turn in a hindering terrain, I can't negate that. Like, you know what I mean? You can go up, have support characters on the side with it that can move up and attack. Like, you can have an unseen up there for your probability control, and you can maybe have another Groot on the side and have your little walking woods and have a leadership to go with that. But I can never negate the idea of healing in a hindering terrain. To me, that's a really big difference. Because even if you got him to run away, if you were to just keep trying to stall him out and re-heal him every turn, and just heal and clear, you're going to get him back up to his top dial, or maybe even up 2 more and then try going for another attack.
He's absorbing the wood at the beginning of your turn. You see, my problem with this, and it's cool. I'm not going to deny that, but let's go with the. I'm going to pull up the 150. Nope, that's not the 150. 150. There we go. He's only got that on click 2 and 3, and he's only got invulnerable. So if I think about that in a competitive mindset, I'm never going to see those clicks because invulnerable is one of the easiest powers to get through. And I think that's a major.
I'm sorry, I thought that was a trait. Never mind. Negate the whole idea. I thought that was a trait. That is my apology.
It's okay. Damage power on a second. It happens a lot. Don't worry about it. I mean, now granted, here's another thing though: is if we make a slight adjustment to my team, I could be carrying Dr. Frankenstein with him and heal him separately. So it's not unheard of. And anybody stop not looking at Dr. Frankenstein if you're building a monster team. In fact, you must always consider.
So that sold out. We had 4 cases bought at my place, and they were bought out as soon as they came out, and they haven't reordered, and I'm so mad. And every time I want to go get a Dr. Frankenstein, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit much in US dollars for Canadian. I could wait on that.
Honestly, I think they have some still at Comic Warehouse. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. Ask them. I'm sure they're more than when it comes to countertop display stuff.
They have a thing with ordering too many gravity feeds than they really need to. So we always have a really big abundance of abundance of gravity feeds whenever they come in. So I don't even think we bought Undead from them.
No, we didn't. We bought Undead. Okay, we bought 2 we bought 1 display from them. No, yes, we did. We bought 1 display from them. And we bought 1 from the Rocktober. But
Yes.
we bought the one at Rocktober first.
Yes.
And I got the second one later on.
Okay. That's
Yes.
how that worked.
Yeah.
It was like, I know we bought one at like a weird, non-usual place.
Yeah. We definitely purchased 2 of them. I needed my demons.
Uh-huh.
Who knew my love of the demons would be the reason I ended up winning with a monster team that used Dr. Frankenstein of all things twice over.
I love it.
I did attempt to attack once with Dr. Frankenstein at this 6 range. It was against a bystander token. And that is his job. His job is to heal, perplex, and kill bystander tokens.
Yep.
That is his job.
I still like just your reaction when you learned that he had 6 range.
Well, I was like, I got nothing with range. Why does Dr. Frankenstein have 6 range in that practice game?
It was beautiful.
And I was like, I'm getting rid of this Dr. Leslie Evans now. No, sorry, it wasn't a Leslie Evans. It was your symbiote. You had a symbiote out. That's what I did. Yeah. So anyway, We were talking about the poison ivy map.
No, you answer all the right questions. Thank you.
No problem. Mike, back to you, sir.
Alrighty, so my next question was going to be about the maps and everything like that, but you guys already talked well enough about that. So next question would be, if you were going to rank the top 3 maps to use, in your opinion, without, it doesn't have to be exactly in order, like, but just say the top 3 maps, what would they be?
In current competitive modern play or in general?
Current, it doesn't have to be competitive. Well, like a current modern.
Current modern. Underground Cavern, Wakanda, and what was the other one? I always have the WizKids office handy because I love the WizKids office. It's one of my favorite maps ever. In fact, I think I'm actually kind of staring at it right now.
Probably what's down there. I think there's a map down there. Yeah.
It's my blanket. Amber, what's your top 3 maps?
I think right now it's just sitting at the same of the Underground Cavern and Wakanda, and it's just all your maps right now.
Okay, I do have to say Amok Time.
Yeah, well, I ended up playing Amok Time at Canadian Nationals just because I only had the one map, so I just played both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And like pretty much every time I chose Amok Time, I shouldn't have. And
No,
then I lost I lost almost every single map choice, so it didn't really matter. No. But also there's a lot to be said about the Bifrost Bridge right now, so that's it. There's a fair amount of strategies that can make that bridge work.
Bifrost, Ameridroid, they're best friends. I've done it so many times with it. It is absolutely ridiculous how fun it is to pull that off.
Brudex enjoys the Bifrost too.
So then boxing ring doesn't make top 3?
Not really. No, like the boxing ring map, not really. No, it's not fantastic. Like, okay, I don't think it doesn't cut the top 3. Does it cut the top 10? Maybe somewhere in the 9 to 11 spot. How do I put this? You kind of have to be using the boxing ring to really want to use it. And I don't think it does enough as a map to swing the game in any particular direction.
For me, the sporting arena map is very similar to Harley's Derby map in the sense that it can really, really hinder grounded teams, where in the sense that there's so much solid hindering, and it's not like the Poison Ivy map where it's like so much of the map is just hindering. It's that there's these rows, because it's the bleachers and stuff, there's these rows of hindering that can get very frustrating to maneuver around, much like Harley's Derby arena.
Derby, I heard Derby.
And Derby. Where you really have to maneuver if you don't ignore hindering. So much of the usual like walkways are covered in this hindering terrain, so it stops a lot of teams, but then you have to bank on the fact that your opponent can't ignore hindering. Which, I mean, a fair amount of teams nowadays are being played with grounded figures, so it's an interesting strategy, but like Jason was saying, that map itself isn't really doing much for you unless you are playing the boxing ring. It is a good map if you need to bring maps for a sealed tournament, because then you're going up against teams that don't necessarily have all of the things they need to have. I did play, it's the only time I've actually played on that map. I played against Scott Crampton on that map at Canadian Nationals, and he was definitely able to take advantage of the fact that my team could not move through hindering to maneuver himself around that map and position in the best areas that it blocked me off from being able to attack him because either I didn't have the room to move around the hindering, or I had to take an extra turn to get into the hindering and then come back out. And then on top of that, he was able to put down some barriers. So the map can be used, but I definitely wouldn't say, I wouldn't put it in a top 3 category for it.
One thing that does put maps in top X category in the game of HeroClix in the competitive realm and the competitive eye is extremes, right? Where people look at the underground cavern and it is extremely tight and extremely blocked. It cuts off a lot of line of fires, which forces a lot of closer play, and certain types of teams would prefer that. My monster team, as an example, would, because of the tight corridors in it, I would use Walking Woods to block corridors and force them to deal with my Walking Woods that they wanted by it. So that was one way I was able to effectively use that map. Wakanda is extremely full of hindering terrain, and that's why it's another one that is very popular because, one, it provides a lot of hindering. If you don't ignore hindering, it provides a lot of defense because it gives +2 defense in hindering. And then, the third map there, Amok Time, is extremely wide open, with the exception of
I think there's like one piece of blocking.
There's one piece of hindering that the Blackbird makes effect. Like, Blackbird teams use this map because Blackbird has stealth, and they're able to actually put the Blackbird in these little areas pretty close to the starting areas.
Yes, okay.
Right? So you can actually get your turn to move up and then clear with them. So that is why those 3 maps are the most popular, is because in extremes, you get the extreme effect that you need. So you can build a close combat-based team because the underground cavern exists, and if you play a theme team, you're very likely to get it. I had a team that almost completely relied on close combat attacks. I mean, granted, they're coming from Colossals, but it almost completely relied on close combat attacks, which meant a close quarters maps was what I needed to get through that tournament. If I had a team that relied on range, I wouldn't even think of that map, and I would be using Amok Time all day, every day, depending on how much I needed to hide. If I had a range-based team that was also stealthy and also saw through hindering, I would be using Wakanda. And that's why these 3 maps are, because these are the 3 most popular, 3 best kind of strategies that you can play in the game of HeroClix. These 3 maps facilitate all of that. All right. I think I got it. I qualified myself.
You fought yourself in that argument.
I fought myself, and I eventually got there. All right. Nathaniel has no questions, so we move to Braden.
All right. So just because we heard the Bifrost, I actually just started getting really into themes because I realized themes like complete new structure that I need to start building on more rather than just try building a meta team in my own mind. And I feel like with the question about Bifrost is that I've tried using Bifrost with my Ameridroids. I actually currently own 3 because I was good at doing that and spending money, I guess. And using those and having those new, what do you call it, the new Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy combo from the starter set of Batman the Animated Series with Scientist be a really good combination while using maybe the Living Brain, since he has his special attacks plus 10 range if the people adjacent to him have the science keyword for Perplex, using that with Poison Ivy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't base a team off of using the Bifrost on its own just because of safety's sake. But yeah, a scientist theme team, great idea. And Ameridroid is the man when it comes to that, because here's the beautiful part about the Ameridroid. It doesn't have to hit. It doesn't even have to make an attack. Like, if they roll shape change, he's still the original target. You still get to move him. So
I don't know how many times I forgot to put down a symbiote whenever I retaliated with Carnage.
You just do that. You should always do that. Never forget, because it's your 4th attack from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of location manipulation that people kind of overlook, and that's what makes the Bifrost such a strong map. That if you have a team that uses movement manipulation, it's an amazing team. if you have super strength even, and you can get somebody in line to put them in the orange squares, super strength does knock back on close combat attacks. It was actually part of my strategy last year's Rocktober. Was I had 2 Supermen that I could use on the sideline, and 2 Green Lanterns, and then depending on what team I was up against, if I won map roll, I would put us on the Bifrost sometimes, and then I would use the uncommon Superman from Elseworlds who had super strength with 70 points, so like a whole bunch of my team could call him in, and then he would be able to come in, do a ton of damage, and then drop somebody on the Bifrost. The resulting knockback drop down wouldn't kill them from his attack, so he wouldn't take any extra damage from it. And that could be potential 7 damage in a single turn from a 70-point uncommon. And it's such an underrated map, I think. But so many of the wrong. I've seen it used on a lot of teams where it's just like, you are not going to effectively use this. Why are you using this map? You just. And sometimes it's just a team that wants to be fighting in a corridor for some reason, or wants, they'd probably be better off using the underground cavern or the WizKid's office. And a lot of times access to maps is a limitation sometimes, because when it's an OP kit map, depends on whether or not the store gives them away, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of underlying factors to all this stuff.
I think some of the more utilized teams I've seen with the Bifrost is those that can effectively multi-target mind control. So when you have
my Starro,
like Starro, or the Professor X that just mind controls a bunch of people and then just walk them into the Bifrost. It's like, all right, so when you've got like mind control or knockback or some kind of manipulation, even like I think it was Enchantress's mirror that allowed you to, or maybe it was just Enchantress in general, that allowed you to move a character 1 square. And it's just being able to manipulate where the other team is and being able to effectively and maybe even consistently throw those people into the Bifrost is where that map itself really shines, where you can actually take advantage of its special rules. Otherwise, I mean, terrain-wise, it's not a bad map when it comes down to placement and location of how to move your figures.
Yeah, I've seen someone throw down a pimp tank and do some damage.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
They take it and they just went. Psh,
yep.
Just gone.
Anything that allows you to move your opponent's figures really kind of shines on that map.
Yeah. I think the Ameridroid and Mind Control though do best because you don't have to rely on their bad placement for that.
Yes.
Because the Ameridroid has a 6, like, depending on where the character is, and then 6 squares from the Ameridroid, you can get like up to 11 squares away from where that character originally was. Because if they're, like, let's say I place the Ameridroid here, and there are 3 squares this way, well, I can put them 6 squares this way from the Ameridroid, which means you go 1, 2, 3, plus the 2 squares of the Ameridroid. And then the other 6 squares this way.
It's you.
Actually, it's probably closer to 10.
You take a character that he targeted and you move them within 6 squares of him?
Yes, within 6 squares of him.
Okay.
Not of where they were.
Yeah, so once you put his Colossal Reach in there, you can really, that gives you a fair amount of manipulation.
That was part of my original goal, was to get a Unimind down to like last click and then toss him in the most obscure place in the Bifrost, and then just watch them try to figure out where they're going to get their Eternals on the board. And it never happened. It never happened because every attack I tried to get the Unimind to his last click is like, you're not going to be there, are you? Fine.
I'd pay to see that. I would pay to see that.
Yeah. I would have paid to do it. I think it was my Green Arrow was notorious for whiffing at Rocktober. And even with, I think I had props to back him up too. It was obnoxious. Did I have prop? I don't remember my team.
I honestly don't remember what you played.
It was Devil Dinosaur. It was Penguin. Yeah, no, I didn't. Because I think I was off the Mephisto variant by this point.
How did you build a team that didn't have prop?
I had so many attacks that didn't matter. No, I did have prop. How's your dad?
There you go. I was like, there's something in there. Like, there's no way you would have built yourself a team that
back when that was the badge of being Canadian. It's like if you're, where's he from? Canada. Okay, so Al Jordan's on his team. All right, Michael.
Alrighty, so all right, next question would be, all right, at what point will the metagame say, I'm trying to, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I say this question correct right here. All right, so at what point will the metagame evolve to where there's probably going to be at least one Colossal on every team?
Is it not there already?
I was just going to say that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe it hasn't come quite proliferated amongst my area like that, but okay, if you're saying that that's, you know, like everywhere up where you guys play. Like,
okay.
So.
Yeah, it's huge.
In the grand competitive scale, when you go to competitive 300-point modern events, if you don't see a Colossal Retaliator, you're asking a lot more questions, and then you're seeing a Goblin King. Because the only variants that aren't playing Colossal Retaliators right now would be X-Men teams, because they don't use Colossal Retaliators.
But then they also have there's a variant on the X-Men team that uses the Blackbird, which is a bigger base. It's not a Colossal in the sense of combat symbol, but it is a bigger base dial.
Yeah, but based on the actual Colossal figure, I think right now we're at a meta where it's either you're playing one or you're playing X-Men or Goblin King.
Yeah.
Because I think all current variants of all current teams have some degree of Colossal, or, you know, you're a psychopath like me and you have more Colossals than you have figures on your team. And I never thought I'd say the words, because if you go back 100 HeroClix years to when Galactus first showed up, I looked at it and said, we're going to play a Colossal on my team. It's just one figure. Why am I ever going to do that? And then eventually it's like, well, okay, I can play it in a 300-point tournament, but I'm still not going to do that. And then they said, here's a 150-point version. I'm still not putting 150 points into a thing that's targetable by everybody. Wait, 20 points? Hold on a second.
I honestly think one of the best business decisions that WizKids has made in the last few years was introducing the Colossal Retaliator, where it gave you an excuse to have these giant big figures on your team. And what happened? Suddenly everybody is playing Colossals.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Colossals that's always been my problem. I never get to play them if it's not me and my buddies playing at the kitchen table. Now, that's cool, but why do I want to invest a $60 investment, $30 investment, a large investment, because these figures were always large investments, in a figure where I'm going to play it at the kitchen table? That's not a worthwhile investment in my mind, because it's a no gain situation. Now, granted, I always bought them and I always played them at some point, but this is just the grand consumer mentality. It's like, why do I want to spend $60 on a figure? And this is like the classic Galactus, which was like, buy it for 60, sell it for 600. Eventually, you know, you'd be able to play them slowly but surely, but it was always a problem of, this is really a casual figure. Why the large investment, other than there's a lot of plastic going into this? So now we fast forward to now, or even Superman, Wonder Woman, where it's like, look, okay, we get it. We're putting super boosters in. We're putting Colossals in the super boosters. And I already started to roll my eyes, but I think they heard that noise that was coming, because there was going to be a loud crash when I rolled my eyes in the back of my head. Like, whoa, stop. You like big teams, Jason. You're going to like this idea. And here's a 15-point Colossal. I said, hold on, what? Yes, that just happened. A 15-point Colossal, you say? How? How do you do this? And they said, okay, it's only got one click. All right, you're losing me. But wait, that one click if your team happens to take a little bit of damage, all right, you got my attention again. It turns around and does a bunch of damage to half their team. Like, whoa, what? So here I am, and they answered my prayer. They said, Jason, you like swarm teams, or you like adding little things to your team? Here's a big effect from a big piece of plastic. Have fun. And Jason bought Colossals. Because did you like my splash of beer from me putting down? You know, if that got caught on camera, that would be the funniest thing, this little blob of beer showing up. Just I so aggressively put my beer down that a little bit came out, and Amber is this is apparently causing laughter in Amber.
It just went everywhere. It's all over his phone. It's all over the playmat we're using as a mouse pad right now.
Oh, come on. This thing has seen so much beer from Commander Night.
That I didn't know.
No, I've never
part of Commander Night.
I've never spilled on Commander Night. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that the reason we see Colossal Retaliation a lot is it's good. It's easy to fit onto any team, and more importantly, it's now an excuse to actually own large pieces of plastic. And now teams get varied from, like, you got the whole little size things on teams, and teams are so cool looking again. Because you got big things, you got little things, you got tiny little things, you got lots of little things, you got big plane. And I just feel like looking at the field now actually looks like you're looking at comic battles happen. And I think that's a big part as to why it was a good decision. It's a big part as to why we see it so frequently. I mean, Colossal Retaliation is just good. And we're at that point where it's like Colossal Retaliation or bust. But as Amber said, it's a great business decision because now we can use these things all the time. I can use my 15-point atom in a competitive game. I'm going back to Superman Wonder Woman again. I could have used my 15-point atom in a competitive game where I can use my 300-point atom in like a 1,000-point game and be like, yeah, I got an atom. And like, that's multi-purpose use of a single figure. What are you stopping me for?
No. I just imagine them trying to pitch to us Avengers Infinity if all of those Colossals only ever came in at 300, 400, 500 points.
I wouldn't have bought. Not gonna lie, I would never have bought.
Bought that set.
Sealed would have been a mess.
Yeah.
It would have been an unmarketable set.
Now, granted, not every one of those Colossals come in as a Retaliator. Very few of them actually have a Retaliator dial.
Can I also point out how shocked I was that I was completely right about Cosmic Entities not being Colossal Retaliators?
But I mean, you get vehicles now. We have special terrain dials on those vehicles. We have some Colossal Retaliators out of that. But we also have this trend of Colossals being at affordable points. 75 points. Like, there was a point in time where if you said that we were going to get Colossals at 75 points, I would have told you to shut up. Like, that wasn't a thing. Colossals meant 300 plus. Like, that was their thing. That was what Colossals were. They were 300 points plus. They weren't meant to be on your team.
She actually did say shut up. It was when Superman Wonder Woman came out, and I said Titano's playable at 75. She's like, shut up. Like, no. There's a 75-point dial on this. She said, shut up. And she was actually trying to read. That's why she kept telling me to shut up.
Like, shut up, I want to actually read this.
I'm reading Harry Potter.
But yeah, no, I think it's one of those things where, yes, we are definitely seeing a huge saturation of Colossals in the metagame, but it's really just because they're so good.
You know, and it's a 50-50. I get the complaint, but I also, say stop whining, because the inclusion of Colossal Retaliation adds a degree of threat to every attack you make now. Like, originally, if I was playing a close combat focused team, there was no threat if you attacked my close combat guy who's trying to walk the long way. Now, if I got a close combat guy walking the long way and you shoot him, you're going to regret it. So, as a mechanic, I think, so to go back to Mike's question, we're kind of there, but we kind of aren't at the same time. We're at that point where I don't think there's a single build not named X-Men that doesn't include a Colossal figure of some sorts. There are exceptions. Because Nathaniel's going to talk about his One True Scotsman Gotham City team over there.
It is one of those things where this introduction of the Batman set and making those keywords viable again, and also bringing to light some other keywords that older sets helped build, is that if Colossals will be prominent when you're not using theme team. Because right now, a lot of our Colossals are sitting in that area where almost all of our Retaliators are Marvel, and they're all from the Thor set. You're not going to get a Gotham City theme team that has a Retaliator on it. Like, Jason got...
That would be the best thing ever.
I mean, we are lucky in the fact that Cosmic can use them, that Monster can use them. There are theme teams that can use Colossal Retaliators, but they're very few and far between, where more often than not, you're seeing the Retaliators on non-theme teams.
Can I say your idea of few and far between is dominant and very ever-present?
Yes. Sorry.
Colossal? Or
Cosmic? Cosmic is very, very prominent.
Thank you.
And almost all of the Colossal Retaliators have Cosmic theme team or keywords to work into a theme team.
Yes. I think even Surtur is a Cosmic. I know he's a deity and a monster.
He's Asgardian and deity. That's it. Or deity, whatever you enunciate it.
Mangog who's Cosmic.
Yeah.
And Groot.
Yes.
Mangog and Groot, because those are both showing up on theme teams. You should also see that theme teams have made a comeback in competitive. Yeah. Resources are gone, whatever. But theme teams are a big thing now. There was a good amount of time where theme didn't mean anything in competitive play. But we've got the right keywords now on the right players.
I wish I had an envelope that I wrote down all the things that I said would happen prior to resources disappearing, because I knew resources were going away. That's what I said. And I said, I wish I would have written it down, put it in an envelope, and I would have opened it right now, where it would say theme teams would make a return, and multiples of individual figures would make a return. Because that is another thing right now that we're seeing that kind of came with, along with the inclusion of a lot of Retaliators, a lot of small point figures that do things that make big things better, is in addition to all of this, theme teams, and what was the other thing? Multiples of the same figure. If a figure does something very well, play two of them.
Especially if they're at, and this goes into the beautiful advance of the fact that we're seeing very lower end points for characters, very useful characters. The fact that there is a Wolverine with a stop click at 50 points, to the fact that people are playing 4 of him on a team, like that used to be unheard of. Like, this is incredible, the fact that we are now getting that.
Well, yeah, because we have 2 on board. We have 2 on sideline now. Anybody want to know why Wolverine's $100? Supply and demand. There's only so much supply of a super rare, and the demand is super high.
Not to mention the fact that this current month, his ID card is now being handed out.
It is the best thing.
Because he was one of the rare ID cards, right?
He was one of the headmasters, yes.
Yeah. So he was a harder ID card to get. Now you're being handed the
his ID card itself, like,
tell you something.
The not wanted poster is going for like $100.
Yeah.
So. Whoa.
And honestly, the participation ID card is just so much better than the one that you were getting in a pack.
I don't think that's an accident. I think that's on purpose. And WizKids does this often with the gimmies. All right.
Well, they want people to want it.
Brayden!
I was actually enjoying that. Yeah, you got it right. Kudos. I'm trying not to sound like an arrogant, mean guy. I have a very horrible voice for that. So I'm running a 400-point team on Tuesday, and I'm a big guy. I buy a lot of stuff because I'm young and I'm stupid. So I have Thanos Copter, and Thanos that I'm going to be playing on Tuesday with Infinity, Beta Ray Bill, 3 IDs, and then I'm going to probably run something else. I don't know yet. But I wanted to ask, what do you think about the Thanos copter and the Thanos? Because as a prerequisite for the -2 to range, do you see that being a possible character in this game, or do you think that's an overcry?
What?
Sorry, I just have to say that I love that idea of having the Thanos copter piloted on a team with Infinity, where it's like, oh, by the way, you're -3 to your movement and -3 to your range. Have fun.
That was the whole gist of it. I just want to go in. It's a casual game for this tournament, but like I just want to go in there and slap it down and see someone walk up with a Unimind and be like, "Hey, how's it going, dude?" And you see my team and go, "What's that thing do?" It's like, you about to find out.
I love it.
Slow down.
If only Turtle was still modern age for that team.
So that said, the Thanos copter is a lot of fun. And I've also seen PJ's build with it with 50 points, the 50-point version. The 50-point version is drastically undercosted, like disgustingly undercosted, and it should cost way more points, and it does not cost more points, which makes it, competitively good. I like the thing, to be brutally honest, and I like it fun. It's a shame that you're limited to only use it with Thanos. Prerequisite makes it a bit of a bummer, but speaking of bummers, the Thanos that comes with it kind of offsets it. And
he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he's really cool, and I like his dogs.
Yes, I was so excited. So I bought the figure, like I pre-ordered it, and then I saw everyone's outrage to the limited quantity. And I was just looking at it, I was like, "Oh, I'm the happiest person alive right now."
By limited quantity, meaning they had next to none of anything?
Yeah, so if PJ watches this, PJ will remember his leprechaun anger he had on the international page. No, that's how we worded it, and that's how he's probably going to claim it or coin that copyrights. And he even stated that it was ridiculous. They didn't have limitators, like a buffer to stop that. I saw one guy walk out with like 4 of the Thanos copter, and I was like, that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to get into a complaining fest about there, but there's a lot of things that need to get a lot of work done as far as how that was all organized.
I can't complain. I won.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, my opinion is when it comes to convention exclusive, you got to be at the convention to get the exclusive. You have to show up at the door. You have to be first in line. This is kind of the key to these things, right? If you're first in line, sixth in line, whatever, you can be pretty assured that you're going to get them because you took the effort to get there a little early. If you threw a little money in beforehand and then they're just kind of giving it to you when you show up, that's against the idea of the spirit of it.
It's the spirit of convention exclusive.
Yeah. So, I mean, they could have just run it like every other convention runs it, where you get up, get in line, get one, and then if you want another one, you got to get to the back of the line. That's how they do it. That's how they did it at Origins past couple of years, and it's worked fine, and nobody's complained. And I've heard nothing but problems with some of the ways that this was run this year. And again, I want to avoid the fest.
No, it's all good. I agree.
But yeah, so wish I had a Starro. Wish I had other things. But I'm happy with what I have right now. I'm going to try the Thanos copter one day. When I might even try.
If you play Saturday, I'll even bring it just so you can try it.
Well, I have a Thanos copter. That's the one thing I did get my hands on because I showed up at 8:30 in the morning. So,
damn.
Yeah, you can kind of understand where I'm coming from on that. Anyway, you're disgusting, and I love you for it, and I hope that people do bring you to mind and get -3 to their movement, courtesy of your torment. You sick man. It's almost Faustian, but then at the same time, it's not as bad as Faust still, because it's still not Faust.
So I'm
Ouch.
gonna do tiny tangent on that with me
Thank you.
freaking out about PJ being dubbed as the leprechaun range. So
Leprechaun Rage?
rage, yes.
All respect to him, though. Let's not make it sound like I'm being mean about it.
No.
That was his coin. That was his coin copyright.
Is that like PJ is a smaller guy. I'm only 5 foot. I've been 5 foot since I was like 13. So I was nicknamed Leprechaun throughout all of high school because I've been a tiny little thing. So we often joke about me being tiny size. But for anybody that notices me advertising on HC Realms, my username there is Billy_TAL in capitals. That's actually an acronym. And that in high school, that actually stands for the attack leprechaun. That's what TAL stands for. Because at one point there was a day where I got sicked on someone, and they're like, all right, my nickname in high school is Billy. They're like, all right, Billy, go. I'm sending my attack leprechaun on you guys. So nowadays, under all Scream names, I'm under Active Delta, but the one little one that still exists is the HC Realms one. So I appreciate the whole leprechaun rage thing. And Jason's like, I don't want to hear this fucking story.
Michael, how you doing, buddy?
Wow. I'll just go on mute then.
But I do appreciate, just before Michael says, I appreciate your team. I love it. Do it.
It's okay, Jason. I get it. You want to hear Michael's voice, not mine.
Hey guys, thanks I can be a part of the show today. Alrighty.
I'm tangenting hard today.
I like it.
Alrighty, so next question on the list would be okay. Christmas Joker. Thoughts? Go.
I really wish of all the ID cards I was missing, his wasn't the one I was missing. Because the Arkham Asylum file card or whatever it is, oh my gosh, for that Joker that specific Joker is ideal for that card. In addition to which, he's not a bad figure for a casual game. Like I think he's casual strong, call-in cool, or worth it, and competitive, not on board kind of thing. Like that's kind of my breakdown of the figure. So playing it on a team, I'm more likely to play it at the kitchen table with my buddies over a couple beers. It's a fun character, but that rolling ability I'm not going to like the idea of having to roll for the present when I'm using it because I'm going to destroy it 9 times out of 10. And no, that is not the mathematical probabilities. You're correct. I am going to destroy it 9 times out of 10. But as a character himself, without that present, he's still a really cool Joker type character. He's a little bit more aggressive than you expect out of a Joker. I think that qualifies as a sneeze. But yeah, for on map play, he's not the one I want to go for, unless there's beer in front of me and my buddies laughing about it. What do you think about the Christmas Joker, Amber?
Okay, thanks to, and I'm blanking on the name now, but I think it's one of the Brazil HeroClix pages. Thanks to that, I can only ever think about the Christmas Joker in regards to the meme that's circulated with him.
Only because it's used to censor boobies.
There's more than boobies in that picture.
No, there isn't. There's nothing. There is a Joker and the implication of nudity behind it. Carry on with the actual answer to the question, Amber.
That was my actual answer.
Oh, that's your actual answer? That's all you know about the character?
All I know is that I can only think about that meme now.
Congratulations, Amber. You've been ruined by somebody else. Let me just make sure I'm not full of crap on what I'm saying here. Yeah, okay. So what we're getting out of this is charge plasticity, sidestep on the movement, plus the Christmas present. But you also do get on his damage power, outwit, and perplex with range of 9, which is cool. Batman enemy team ability, so he makes other Batman enemies great. He's only 75 points. So It's a situation where it's like that Arkham Asylum card makes him easy to call in, makes him easy to use, makes him super great. The present is a cool, casual time thing that when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it's because I'm rolling. And yeah, I think he's neato, but I'm not going to be fielding him on a super competitive team myself anytime soon. But I'm waiting for Nathaniel to jump in a Discord and be like, I got him on a team.
That is now my sound for Nathaniel.
Why is it like a half penguin, half Andros, half... It's not half when I get to a third thing.
It was the sound that came out. That's all we got.
That was aggressive. Oh, is it my turn?
Oh, yeah, it's your turn again.
Okay, I was really worried. I thought you were like cursing my name in the air, so I paused.
No.
All right, so actually, just because Michael mentioned, I like that Michael mentioned that question. If you were to call in that Joker, would the item disappear with it? If you were to call it in?
Yeah. Pretty sure the equipment on him would disappear with him if you call him in, right? Is it a starts the game? I gotta check that one now.
It starts the game with it. That's why I was wondering.
That is his own start.
It would still be equipped.
Yeah.
He's not considered KO'd, and that's the only time that there's like 3 conditions of it being unequipped, and that would be KO'd or replaced, or there's one other one. So I think removing him from the board should take the present with him.
If you were to unequip it, though, it sounds real stupid, but I mean, like, as a probability.
Well, that's the thing. There isn't like an action that you can take in the game that says, I'm going to unequip this thing, unless you have him equip another equipment. So, like, unless you have him out there picking up, like, a hammer or whatever and dropping the present in return, then like it's gonna still be equipped to him when he leaves at the beginning of the next turn, unless he gets KO'd. And then even then, I don't know if the present is a KO or a drop.
I'm pulling it up right now. Actually, I'm apparently not pulling it up right now.
I'm happy you asked that question, by the way, Michael. Thank you for bringing up Christmas Joker. That was a question I needed to get answered a while back.
You're welcome.
My goodness. This is what happens when I don't give these guys the things they want when they want them super early. I can't give them the information. Anyway. I can't find it on ECU right now, so I don't want to look for it. I don't know what the unequip is on it either.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a KO or a drop. I feel like it's a KO and not a drop.
Same here.
But even if it was a drop, like I said, there's only 3 conditions on how a character can be unequipped, and that is that they KO, that they are replaced, or that they are equipped with a new equipment.
All right. Back around to Michael.
Alrighty. Here we go. I just want to...
They have actual questions with actual answers, so I can't go on a tangent.
Christmas Joker.
Oh, I do love that it does reference the... I don't know if you've ever seen the Christmas episode of Batman the Animated Series, but Joker hedges his entire Escape from Arkham Asylum on the Jingle Bells Batman Smells song.
It does look like that says unequipped KO.
Yeah. Cool.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I gotta unmute. Damn.
Yeah, we're not getting...
KO.
There it is. Unequipped KO, yep.
All right. So yeah, there's no way of getting that present off of him.
Mine!
Alrighty, so here's a little bit of a tangent here type of thing. So this is what I came up with today at work. Like it was a very slow day, so I wrote a lot of these questions out at work, and so this is what I discovered here on playing through HC Realms and everything like that. That you guys have probably seen the movie Mask of the Phantasm, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Okay.
Amber has not.
Okay, yeah, because then
It's one of the best Batman movies ever. But yes.
I most certainly agree, and I know a lot of little trivia facts and everything according to that, and how that movie, and even reading on other blogs and other different backstory to this movie, is that it was actually spoiled about a couple weeks before that the licensing DC licensing sent out all the toys to that movie, ended up spoiling that movie. So now this set is exposing a lot of the Bruce Timm verse and everything like that. I talked to some of the other kids who weren't old enough to remember the original series and all these things like that. So you got to go see the Mask of the Phantasm movie. Find it either download it or find it wherever. Now here comes the question: did DC yet again spoil the movie for those who haven't seen the movie?
Okay. I do
Way to go, DC licensing. Way to go.
I do believe in a statute of limitations on spoilers. As in, you get past a certain time and it's too late. Now, granted, yes, there's young viewers who haven't seen it, but there's also young people who have heard their parents say, "Luke, I am your father," even though that's not the actual line, in reference to Star Wars. And, it was the biggest spoiler of that year, right? And nowadays, I see dead people, and Bruce Willis is dead at the end of Sixth Sense, guys. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, but the movie is 15 years old now, or 20 years old, or whatever, however old it is. You know what? I don't want to think about how old it is because that ages me. But I do believe in a statute of limitations. Now, there's a statute of limitations in the other direction where it's like too soon. Like, for instance, when we go back to the Iron Man 3 movie set and we got the Pepper Potts with the extremist abilities, like, hold on a second, Pepper's going to do what? And that was a bit of a spoiler for me. So, I went into Iron Man 3, which was not the best Iron Man movie ever, but I still enjoyed it. But I looked at it as like, yeah, okay, Pepper Potts is going to get strong. I'll munch, munch, munch. I play Hero Clix, munch, munch, munch on my popcorn. And that was like supposed to be a big moment in the movie. And for me, it was gone, dead in the water. So that hurts. That does hurt when movie spoilers kind of hit with toys. But in this particular instance, I'm sorry, but Mask of the Phantasm is an old-ass movie.
The one thing, and we did have an entire conversation about this during the pre-release because somebody had told her, they sculpted boobs on the figure. And
the Phantasm, him, prior to finding out that the Phantasm was a female character, the Phantasm was very androgynous looking. Like, it could have been anybody because there was no bulging coming out of the chest, right? Like, it wasn't until it was revealed that it was a female character that you could assume that breasts were going to be in that character. So that in itself was another spoiler. Like, they could have just made the Phantasm based on the movie one without that bulging out of the chest. I don't know what the design decision to do that was, because even in the movie, it's not present, right? I feel like that's an artistic liberty that was taken.
They also say her when they refer to her powers.
At that point, it's fine, but still, like, at what point in the movie is there ever present, like, mammaries?
Yeah.
Right? It's not a part of the character. It was, everything was square about that character.
That she wears does not hug her chest.
No, it does not hug her chest the way it does in our Hero Click.
Yeah, the character even uses a voice changer, like
exactly. Yeah. So like for the first half of the movie, you think it's 3/4 of the movie, you think it's a dude, and then you find out it's a girl. It's like, oh, spoilers, and it's mind blowing. I was young, but not super young. I think it was about early teens at the time that this movie came out. And it was still mind-blowing to me. It's like how, one, good this movie was, and two, how they went the way they went with the Phantasm. It caught me off guard. And I really enjoyed the movie myself. And I feel like that extra liberty they took on the figure, I feel like the character should have been a little bit thicker plastic, a little bit more square in shape. But don't blame Kenji on this one. Kenji just picked the figure's name. That's all he did on this case. He didn't have a whole lot of design stuff. But yeah, that's kind of my rant on the Phantasm. Do you want to add anything to it? Thank you for adding the inclusion.
That was my inclusion.
That was your inclusion? It's like, hey, that's not a thing that was supposed to occur. I think even Kenji actually pointed out, I was like, yeah, I kind of have a problem with that. I had the pleasure of hanging out with him prior to Canadian Nationals and at Canadian Nationals. So, can't wait to hang out with Bradley in Philadelphia and get him laughing again.
And just one final aside to that, according to IMDb, Batman Mask of the Phantom released Christmas Day 1993.
Why are you going to tell me things like that? Why you got to do that? Because that's like 20...
Dude, I was 7.
That's one more 3 years.
That is literally 25 years ago.
Yep.
That'll be 25 years ago at Christmas. There better be a Blu-ray re-release on that one.
Wait, Jason, how old are you?
That's why I haven't watched the animated show. That's why I haven't seen the movies. 7.
All right, Braden, we're getting close to wrap-up time, but how are you doing for questions?
So my buddy's a fan, and he actually reminded me of the question I mentioned earlier, so I wouldn't forget. And that was the office map. Why do you think it's such a prominent map? Why is it top 3?
Okay. The reason the office map, it's probably one of my favorite maps in Clix, is I'm a big fan of strategic movement. And if you look at this map, there's not a lot of space, right? Like, I'm going to hold it up for a second and let's look at our way out of the starting line. Now, there's hallways in it, but if I come out of the front hallway here and I show you all the way to the other opponent's starting line, there's no direct line of fire to my opponent's starting line. And that's the first thing about this map that stands out as great, is it blocks a lot, not all, but a lot of alpha strikes. Now, I found particular love with it in an era when TK with Jean Grey at the beginning of the turn, call in a character with the character just TK, and then do a big, massive damage attack with that character was a very prominent, very dominant strategy. It was a very strong way of getting damage out, and it was hard to deal with. So this map helped that a lot because of a lack of clear line of fire to my opponent's starting area because of that big blocking block in the middle. Secondly, we've all seen the movie 300 and understand the Battle of Thermopylae and the manner in which the terrain was used to make numbers work against your opponents, where it kind of does the opposite in this sense because they can force their way in with 2 or 3 characters, but they have a limit of they can force their way in with 2 characters into a hallway. But if I have multiple characters, I can actually kind of just keep replacing characters that I lose so long as I have effective attack values out there. It's able to funnel characters into where you need them and force action the way you want it to occur. And it's why it's as strong as, if not stronger in some cases, than the underground cavern. What's more is there's space for Colossals to be in this map, and it's actually a map I regret not bringing with me to Canadian Nationals this year. Because when I lost to the X-Men team, I did not account for not being able to Colossal retaliate against the team. But Kenji was able to effectively use that one part of the map that I couldn't really get access to in a lot of situations. And if I was playing against a Blackbird, it would have been a different situation because the Blackbird itself is too wide based. He was using the Lila Cheney based version, which was able to tighten its way into that small corner and was able to block me off. In this case, it's a lot harder to pull that off. So it's got enough wide areas in order to get the lines that you need if I'm using a Colossal-based team. But at the same time, not allowing a 9-10 range sniper-based team blast me out of my starting area after a very brief telekinesis movement. So that I think that's one of the biggest strengths of the WizKids office. Is why it's one of my favorites. Amber, why do you, just as you're about to shove food in your mouth, why do you like the WizKids office, or why do you think the WizKids office is so popular while I go to Washington?
I wasn't listening to anything that Jason said, so I'll probably repeat what he said. But I think the close quarters, one of the things that, like, I actually kind of have a personal grudge against the WizKids office, because for a long time, one of the teams that I did very, very well with was the Brainiac Skullship. Now, if you look at the map, there are exactly 4 places where the Brainiac Skullship can legally place itself.
Yeah, I have one, so I understand.
Because of the way that those offices and blocking terrain are set up, and it doesn't destroy blocking terrain when it moves or anything, or when it's placed. So it can fit in the middle offices, and that's it. And I actually ended up in a top 16 where I should have made it to a top 8 because I don't know what happened to the pairing. Got paired up with the wrong person, basically. And that cost me the game because I got put on the WizKids office, which I was not properly prepared for because that team, I can't move on that. So the decrease in mobility and line of fire and the manipulation of movement, and the fact that like 1 or 2 good, well-placed barriers can disrupt your opponent's team, I think really helps elevate its effect in modern competitive play.
That didn't cover anything that I talked about, so you're perfectly fine.
Dude.
All right.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
No problem. Michael?
Alrighty, last question here for you guys. Out of, I guess you've had enough time to play with the set, like explore, like do different teams and everything like that. What is your favorite piece out of the Batman the Animated Series series?
Amber?
I love all the Poison Ivies.
All of them?
All of them. Like, they're not high competitive. They're not super aggressive, but I love them. I love that they do more than just sit in stealth and do mind control. That is like something that has been plaguing Poison Ivy since she first showed up in the game, is that seems to be the only thing they know that she does is stealth, mind control, poison. And we have just been given 3 versions of Poison Ivy that do more than that. And 2 of the 3 actually create bystanders, which is even more fun to play with. One of them creates a smoke cloud that hurts people, which is cool. The other 2 create bystanders.
Isn't it 4? 3 in the main set plus the fast forces.
I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I think those are, even there's a lot of really, really great things that come out of that set, but just personally for me, character-wise, I love what they've done with Poison Ivy.
I'm sorry, I'm not being quiet. I'm trying to figure out what my actual favorite... Overall review of the set, this is the best sealed set I've ever had the pleasure of playing. So I do have to point that out while I'm thinking about this. Batman Beyond got me to second place at a WKO, so I can't complain about him. Who am I kidding? It's a close tie between Maxi Zeus and Zatanna. It's funny because they do kind of similar but opposite things. Mm-hmm. Maxi Zeus creates 2 attacking bystanders that he enhances, whereas Zatanna makes 2 bystanders that enhance her and make her super strong. So both of them are standout figures to me, and both of them, I feel like there's something going on with Maxi Zeus that I want to make work, and I kind of want to tool around with that. And Zatanna, if not now, very soon, is going to be a dominant support character. Get her while she's cheap. That's what I'm going to say about that. Yeah, those are overall my favorite. Okay, I do have to say, in the WKO that I won, I did bring out a super friend every game except for the final 3 games that I played. In the last game I played, I did end up bringing out a Firestorm. That was just I'm winning. I'm going to play a Firestorm situation.
Well, since I'm winning, I might as well.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, they do function on the Jason principle of you're making a lot of attacks and missing. See how this does.
I'm sorry.
This might help you. Sorry, things aren't working out for you, eh? You want to try this? See, tell me how that works, eh? Such a good principle to work off of.
Oh my.
Brayden. Any last questions before we make our evening?
All right, so my last question is going to be, I just had it and I just lost it for a second. Just 1 second. So
Okay, you're cutting in and out, Brayden?
I've only got back the last year. So.
Sorry, we missed the question.
And know my limits. I did ROC, Nationals. I'm hoping to try doing Canada Cup. So I'm trying to just see where I'm at because I feel I can do decently, but I feel like I'm missing some of the strong points.
Okay, so I don't know if I caught the question. Are you trying? What are you looking for that you're missing?
To find how to become better, so to say. I feel my builds are okay, but I want to see how I can take to the next elevation. Like I have a lot of the new, I keep using the word meta. I don't like using the word meta. I say better performance figures, but I want to learn how to use them properly.
Okay, all right. So fundamentally, one of the hardest things to figure out is competitive play, and you're talking to a guy who's been playing for 15 years, has been competitive for about 8 or 9, and I can only seem to win WKOs and 1 states, provincials. So don't take my word as the gospel necessarily on this one. I've squeaked out a couple wins. People consider me a threat competitively, but I don't win consistently. But what I do notice about the people who do beat me and the people and the games that I play, they don't make mistakes, and they do play safe. And what I mean by that is too many people fall into the trap of I'm winning, I've got to kill everything, and then make a mistake somewhere in there. The difference between a supremely competitive player and a kind of competitive player is the difference between killing 125 points and trying to kill the last 175, or keeping a lead of 125 points and not risking anything, and carefully calculating things. So what I mean is, in the in the top 4, when I had won at the WKO, my opponent was killing a lot of my stuff on board, but I contained a point lead. And then when I wounded his Flash God of Death, he backed off in order to heal with it. Now, I had 2 options. I could try to chase the Flash God of Death, or I could play patiently, pay attention to the time that I had, because the judge had definitely called less than 10 minutes prior to that. So I knew I had a lead. I knew in order to take the lead from me, my opponent had to do quite a bit of damage to my team. So I paid attention to that board state, and I backed off and played safe for a couple turns until it came to like pretty close to end of time. He got forward, allowed me to do a bunch of attacking, and I was still in a position where I wasn't going to lose if he got another turn, and I was going to be perfectly fine. So if I was to take old Jason into that situation, I would have chased him down the board as fast as I could before he could heal his Flash God of Death. And that Jason would have lost that game. That Jason would have definitely lost that game. Current Jason turned around and said, I have a lead. Why do I have to chase? Take advantage of the lead that you have. Don't play out of touch, but also pay attention in your head to how far into the game you are, and don't panic when you have a bad lead, when you are behind. There's a difference between handling tilt and being on tilt, or being tilted, right? Where I was behind in the first round of that same tournament by about 70 points, but instead of panicking, which is what my heart was like, if I was going by this was doing this. Meanwhile, my head was calm and saying, okay, I can get my lead. How do I get my lead? And this is where I've grown as a player myself. There are still situations that I run into where it's like, how can I possibly win this? And I make some level of tactical miscalculation. And I kind of have to live with those. Or even, there's no possible calculation I could have made, and I have to kind of roll with the dice. Being able to calculate proper response, proper action, and proper overreaction are all these kind of factors that factor into a big portion of it. So a lot of people say pay to win, but then if it's pay to win, why are people consistently winning? Because the people that are consistently winning are tactically playing this game intelligently and making correct decisions. Without the correct decisions, without the correct play, you can't pull off the high level of win. Without absolute knowledge and full awareness of everything that's going on in the game, you can't pull it off. You can't. Too many people too often get laser focused in a single direction, and then they miss that there's a whole map of things. And that was, I think, one of the big advantages I had with my team and with my monster team. When I pulled off the win with that team, I had to tell people to get out of my way or tell people to get things off of the map because I was using the entire map. And that was more of a reflection on my board state awareness than anything else. A lot of time people get very focused in on the game and they start putting things on the map that just don't need to be on the map. Like they'll put their stack of cards or their phone or something will be on the map, and that's a reflection on a lack of board state awareness. And they'll forget those squares exist, and I will use those squares. And I will be aware. I try to be aware of everything that's going on in the game. Does that guarantee me a win every time? No, because there's still the random number generation of cubes on there. Will I attempt to maximize my ability to hit with those cubes? Sure. Will they still go sour on me? Absolutely. Will I bring a super friend out with a critical miss? You bet I will. But it's a matter of keeping your cool, keeping your awareness, and playing smart. These are all the elements that it takes to kind of elevate yourself. And people often credit me with taking very fast turns, and that's a cool thing that I have behind me. But nowadays, I take very fast turns that are calculated. There's a lot of things I do nowadays that are not without the idea of consequence. And this is where I'm taking all of this big tangent. This big explanation goes to awareness of consequence. The best players know that when they make an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction that's coming from their opponent. Newton's law, as it were. And if you're not prepared for that in the game, you're not aware of what's coming, that consequence is going to bite you. And if you're not ready for it and you're not ready for a re-reaction, that's kind of where you get caught off guard. which is why when I was talking about my last game or my first game in that last tournament that I did win, my first opponent, I was surprised because they were a new player who was aware of consequence, and that's a player who now not great or not winning anything. There's a future in that player that scares the hell out of me because I've been playing for this game for 15 years, and I'm only recently starting to actually measure my consequence when it comes to an action.
Now, Amber, sorry to go a little bit far. Oh, I was going to say, what would you say from when we last played when I could have worked on that? But you're buying, it's not a big deal.
I think you're outside. Can you read that one more time for me?
Oh, no, I was saying that from the last time me and Amber played, I was trying to ask what she thought I could have worked on that.
Oh, sure. Last time you guys played, what did you think as far as where he's got to go?
I don't know. It's so hard to say because a lot of the like the magic of that team is taking your opponent by surprise. So like I think that given what had happened in our game, and that you were not anticipating or expecting me to take out your two biggest guys in one turn. I think that like that game didn't end. Like it was a shortened game, but that game kept going. And I think you did really well in reacting to having lost your two big guys, and you were still going with the other one. Like you still had the Donald Blakes that turned into the Thors. You brought in the Thors. I think it was just that my team was more of an overwhelming, shocking presence than anything else. But I think given what you had still in the game, you did decently in reacting to how my team works. That is one thing with that team. This is the Hulk smash, oh my god team, where that team comes in fast and hard, takes you by surprise, and then capitalizes on you not knowing what to do after the fact.
Gives you Sophie's choice. Deal with it.
Yeah, so it's like all of that went the way that team was supposed to go, and you did really well in reacting to it. But once your two main attackers are gone off the board, there's not much more you can do when you have your smaller support guys left. And I still have my entire team.
Yeah. To put it in my context, this is what we call an RTFC moment, where you look at Amber's team and you go, well, what does it do? And you kind of have to take a moment and read the cards, especially when there's figures that you're unfamiliar with, because this is board state awareness 101. She's gonna try to come forward with her team, so you have to figure out what her team is doing when you do it. And when I saw, Amber's team, I built off of a strategy that almost beat me once. It probably should have beat me, but I think it was like one or two bad dice rolls with it. And I look at that team and I'm like, holy moly! If that would have gone one other way, I was dead, like done for. But my ability to see it coming allowed some level of preparation. Step one was stay back. Step two, how's he going to get forward? Okay, how can I try to stop this? I can't. Okay, how can I best take this? So this was just after the Quake rule change. I had bunched my characters together because that was the best way to force her, or my opponent at the time, to Quake as many possible characters as he could. So force his full movement, force a multiple character Quake, and then I had a couple pick of powers where I just kind of deal with it. I had to accept that I was going to lose the Penguin. One thing I just had to accept. It was like, once I lost the Penguin, I knew, okay, he's going to die. But he didn't do enough damage, I don't think, to my Devil Dinosaur for me to worry about it. Again, I looked at this and said, okay, how do I do to Amber's team what I want to do? And the thing was, I just had to do what my team does, because Amber's team, unfortunately, wants to do to me what I tell her she can't, which is get forward and attack as much as my team as she can. But I use the Walking Woods to say, no, right? Whereas when I played against Aiden, in the case, Aiden forced it a little bit more hard, but it's still the same fundamentals where it's like, you're not getting to me, I'm not going to let you get to me on your terms, you got to get to me on my terms. And my terms were, okay, you're going to quake my Goblin King, awesome, I'm going to Psychic Blast you. So what Amber is saying is, ultimately, you didn't see it coming, you got to try to see it coming. And it's no easy task when you're early in the game. When you're more attentive, more practiced in competitive play, it starts to come more naturally to you. So I'm as a HeroClix player, I am 15 years into the game. As a competitive HeroClix player, I'm 5-6 years into competitive play at this point. So, but I'm also a very stubborn competitive player too, and I got to get around that somehow. I got to find my way around that. So step one is don't do what I do. Don't play silly. I play silly, but I'm an entertainer and here on YouTube. That's part of my weakness. Play to win. Play the team that's going to win with the numbers. And then after that, pay attention to what your opponent's team is planning on doing to you, and then work around that. And do not fall into the trap of, oh, I'm playing a slower game. Let them get impatient. Do not give up points frivolously. Don't give up points to boredom.
I'm the worst for that.
Amber is so bad for that, and I don't know how to get it out of her. It's just like I don't care if you're bored.
But there's nothing happening.
And that's fine. That means you're winning. Or you're tied. You know what? They have to get a lead too if they want to win. Right? And if you both have to roll dice, you both have to roll dice. And that's an acceptance level that you eventually have to get to. And I finally hit that. Where it's like, all right, fine, if we're going to roll dice, we're going to roll dice. But I'm not giving up a stupid action. Or I'm going to take 7 or 8 more turns to set up an unstoppable action. A long vote of lessons, as it were, from a guy who doesn't win that much in HeroClix.
No, I appreciate it very much. Thank you guys so much. We can't wait to see you guys Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully I can get out there.
Agreed.
Let's see here. Thanks, Nathaniel. Nathaniel wanted to remind me that I'm old. I mean, this was the gray in my beard, not enough. All right. On that note, Braden and Mike, thank you guys very much for your patronage. And Nathaniel and anybody else who's in our Patreon, we do appreciate your support. It goes a long way towards keeping our editing fantastic. Thank you, Amber, for doing a fantastic job of doing that editing with the tools that we're providing. We want to thank everybody who's watching as well and watching in the archives. Thank you guys for watching. You're watching. There's a little bit of support our way as well. These patrons just give us that little extra bit of support. If you do want to join our Patron Hangout or our Discord, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. And throw a little support our way. Gets you access to the Discord, gets you access to this show, and it goes. It's our way of saying thank you every month. In addition to which, we are also. I don't know if Amber's put the link down below. We have a new show we call Move and Attack. What that is we get rides to our HeroClix venues and our events, and we kind of crack open the camera and we start answering questions. But it's because
there'll be a new episode this week.
There's going to be another episode. Is that the nighttime episode from me and Aiden coming back from Ottawa, or
I haven't done any of the.
Or sorry, not from Auto. From
I haven't
Elmville.
done any of the Elmville ones yet. So.
All right, so you're going to see our move and attack from our trip to Elmvale. There's a going there and a coming back. We apologize for the coming back lighting, by the way. It's always terrible. But anyway, there's a Google Doc form that we have. Don't panic. It's not taking your information or anything. All it is accepting a question. And we need this because it's a long form thing. This is not like Facebook where we can keep a record of things like this very easily, and things get lost in emails a lot. This Google form is one place where we can collect all the questions, write them all down, and then just answer them in the car on our way to and from HeroClix events. So it's been fun. We've done it a couple times. Aiden's been getting a kick out of it. He's usually the guy driving. I've been getting a kick out of playing with the camera with it, and I can't wait to do some more of them. And we would like to collect your questions in this Google form. So I don't know if Amber's put the link below. Did you put the link below?
Not in this episode.
Not in this episode, but in other episodes, check the link for that. And we hope to hear from you on there. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/MarriedWithClix. Check us out. You're on YouTube, so we don't have to do that. And yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. Thank you our patrons for providing for us. Thank you everybody for watching. And see you guys next month for a Patron Hangout. I'll also see you guys tomorrow. Who knows what condition I'm going to be in because it's been a busy work week. And even though it's a holiday tomorrow, I'm still probably going to be at work tomorrow. And we'll see you guys on the Metal Lab tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.